Alright, welcome back. This is day 2. We're going to make a quick video on why I jumped from Windows over to Linux. About 30 days ago I decided to make the jump from my new PC. I have a GMK Ryzen Halo Strix 128GB local-LLM kind of rig, and it actually comes installed by default with Windows. And I saw that and I was getting frustrated with the whole installation process, just off the beginning, right? Getting Windows configured and getting hit with all these annoyances. Luckily, this install did allow me to bypass the local account by default. They did something with the old version of Windows on this that allowed me to do it without connecting to the internet. I was able to do that pretty easily. However, there are some newer devices that get installed with default ISO images or configurations of Windows that cannot bypass this. So again, this just is one of those things that just annoyed me from Windows from the very beginning. It's been going on more and more. They're starting to lock down what you can and can't do with your device, and it just adds another layer of frustration. This article goes into a little more about how you get stuck with OneDrive. There's a bunch of really annoying stuff with Edge. There's always a never-ending trial with Microsoft products, and it goes on and on and on. This is just a bunch of complaints on things you can do to kind of fix all that stuff. But again, this shouldn't be a thing when you own a computer and you own the operating system. You're paying for the operating system, and you're getting bombarded with this. And this is really evident with all these ads that people are seeing whenever you get a machine from like let's say like a non-builder, like a Best Buy or something like that, like a Lenovo like laptop. You immediately get hit with all the Lenovo bloatware, plus all the Windows bloatware, plus all the stuff that gets added as Windows updates. And again, this is just another example of all the stuff you have to do just to get Windows to be more private, more secure, less advertising. Like the start menu does not need all those icons, like just straight up does not. And then having to do this on every single build. I've done this multiple times, by the way. Like I've had Windows 11 machines now for a few years. Every single time I install a fresh batch of Windows, it's just this whole process all over again. So yeah, this is just me summarizing my gripes and complaints. There's been some issues with Dell's just getting hot and causing performance issues. I think that has been resolved. There's a couple articles here, one with the news and one saying that it's been resolved, potentially resolved. It's been confirmed by Microsoft that their updates are causing issues with hardware, which is crazy. And because of that, Windows 11 kind of is poorly received, even though objectively Windows 11 is technically a better operating system than Windows 10. In my opinion, Windows 10 just feels a lot better, and it has less of the forced stuff down your throat. And I think a lot of people agree because they're actually extending support until 2027, even though it's not officially disclosed, right? You can apply for it and get extended security updates. And this is something I've been kind of keeping an eye on. I heard about this a few months ago where they were able to kind of identify a GDID, and it was kind of proposed that that thing existed. However, over the last few months, specifically in July sometime, they confirmed through the FBI that this is a thing that Microsoft is doing. They're actively applying a unique global identifier to your Microsoft account that's tied to your machine that kind of lives with you as a single source of record. And they were able to kind of see a person kind of bouncing around devices or different devices, and able to kind of track it down to that same person. And it ended up going up to like the FBI level, and that's how it was confirmed. Not through Microsoft, obviously, through an FBI case. So there's still some like speculation on whether this is not or is true, but I mean the fact that it's in a case is pretty damning evidence. So yeah, Microsoft sucks. Getting off of it, that's pretty clear. Where do you go from there? I've installed Ubuntu in the past, Fedora, Red Hat, XYZ. And it's only a pain in the ass. It's always been a pain in the ass. Getting like wireless mouse to work, getting keyboard wireless to work, getting ultra wide monitors to work has always been a pain. But in recent attempts, CachyOS just works. My debate between getting some Fedora installs for being more stable, works better without local LLMs, or Ubuntu because I was familiar with it. But I ended up going with CachyOS specifically for the gaming aspect. Although the gaming aspect is fairly on the rise for Linux, there's been a lot of talk about how Linux will take over gaming. I don't think that switch is happening anytime soon. You need a lot of support for that. Even though we're seeing like high 5.33 numbers in March, I think, about the domination of Linux gaming. It hasn't held, and I don't think that switch is happening anytime soon. However, with the release of the Steam Machine, I think that is more promising. A lot of really cool stuff with SteamOS and the Steam Machine being released. This is like in pre-order, I think, and I can say that Steam does work very well on Linux. I can have an example here after this video. So yeah, even though it hits all-time highs, I think that the overall prognosis is that this steady trend of going up will continue to go up. I don't expect it to just ramp up one day like it did here and then continue at that pace where it ends up dominating over Windows. There's just more money and support in the configurations for PC that I don't see that changing anytime soon. Anyways, my use case, I need a machine that just works, doesn't bog me down, doesn't cause any friction with me on a day-to-day basis. All right, so with that said, let me just kind of demo what I'm currently showing you as my use case. I primarily use Linux CachyOS for a few things: day-to-day browsing, backup system, have local files that get backed into a NAS that go into an offsite storage, all encrypted, all secure, all on my dime. I don't need OneDrive. I then have basic recording needs, as well as document management via Office. Like Office is obviously a Microsoft product, but I use the open source Open Libre, and that works very well. GIMP, there's DaVinci. Like everything that I kind of can think of as a use case, there has been a solution for it on Linux and has been very little friction. And obviously gaming is a big one for me. I'm not a hardcore gamer. I play pretty much like Spire, Overwatch, some Arc Raiders, obviously the mecha game that came out recently, and it just works. Like here's me launching up Steam, and I currently have Slay the Spire open. It launched without any complaints. Here's the game running. Probably hear it in the background. It just works. No issues. Playing this in window mode. Not very good this game, but I play a lot of multiplayer and it's really fun. And this launched and worked out of the box, which I think is just crazy. So yeah, it's a pretty long rant on essentially me leaving Windows because of how much they've been sucking lately, moving over to CachyOS, and then just having everything work out of the box. It's not a very exciting story. It just proves that like we're at a point now where Linux as a primary operating system is totally doable. I'm not going to say you're going to have a perfect experience. I'm just saying that for my particular use case in the last 30 days, I don't miss Windows. I'm never installing it back unless I have a very specific use case. And I think this is here for a while. So yeah, thanks for joining me on day 2. I'll post a video and we'll catch you up on day 3. Hopefully I have some more cool stuff your way. Thanks.